All right, as some of you may know, if you've been watching the channel for a little while, I have a KLR650 that is also a parts bike. Now, this bike is a mess. I took it apart a few years ago when I picked it up thinking I was going to do something. The engine, when running, leaks a large amount of oil from the exhaust. I'm not exactly sure what the issue is, but eventually at some point I will figure that out. I do have a full gasket set for this thing to rebuild it and go through it. So at some point I may do that. But as you can see, it's missing pretty much 90% of all the main parts that you would see on the bike. Somebody had gone over and busted this, I guess, and then booger welded it. The rear shock is like blown out. It's leaking oil like crazy. I think the front forks are also leaking oil. This thing is just a mess. What I want to do is just put the front brakes back on. It has nothing right now, obviously because I just blew it up. Because basically what I'm trying to do is just to give myself more space to work on projects. As you know, this is what this channel is about. So my projects are getting bigger. If you've seen all my cars so far, I do have another car that I haven't shown, and that I'm waiting to try and find some parts if I can get some. All right, enough blathering. Let's get on to checking out the front brake. I know they didn't work before. Even after I filled them with brake fluid, for some reason, they still didn't work. So let's go through that. All right, as usual, in the shed shop, this is pretty much my only space that I can work in that is sort of clean. But this is the whole front brake setup. So it includes the master cylinder, the hose or the line that goes all the way down to the caliper. So what I'm going to first do is actually just take apart the hose and separate everything. I've already cracked all the bolts, and it should go pretty easy. Now my thing is, I'm actually just trying to do this on the free or cheap side. I don't want to spend any money on this unless I was about to rebuild it and use it on my main KLR650. All right, let me just first go ahead and see if the line is actually free of debris. Well, I can see the old brake fluid is coming out, so that's a good sign. That means that the line isn't collapsed. There's the brake clean that just came out. Good. All right, so we know that this flows. I'm going to just spray some brake clean on the brake caliper just to try and get something that's old out, just in case there's some junk or something. You never know. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just take it apart. I'm not going to go too crazy. I'm not going to take the piston out, but I know those little rubber boots are melted just from the brake fluid that leaked on it. I will be reusing the original pads. There's still a little bit of meat on them. It's not like I'm riding, so it's not a big deal. So this is the rubber boot that I'm talking about. It's just melted. I think brake fluid leaked on it, and it just kind of softened everything up. It's really junky and not doing anything at this point. This one here, I'm actually just going to cut off because there's the rubber that's on the inside acts kind of like a spacer, which I want to keep. So that's why I'm just going to cut this worn out melted piece. It's actually even just falling apart in my hands. All right, I just went ahead and cleaned, I don't know, some of the dirt off that was on there. I don't know if the piston will still work, but I'll certainly do something to try and get that out. I think that might actually be the real problem. Okay, so I just checked into the caliper and I could see that the piston was pushed way back. I just used a flathead screwdriver, popped it in there and gave it a little bit of a rotation to apply some pressure on the piston, and I was able to push it out. So I know that that does work, or at least it slides. Just cleaned out the bleeder valve. It did have some junk in it, so it really needed a cleaning. All right, just gave everything another quick cleaning. I'm just going to go ahead and quickly reassemble it. I am applying a little bit of grease, so I just don't want them to stick. Might not be necessary, but I'm here. It's just that simple. And just popping in the last piece, and that'll be it for that. All right, an excessive amount of grease, but hey, it shouldn't get jammed up. And we're pretty much done with that for now. Onto the master cylinder. Now I did put brake fluid in here, but I don't know how much of it is left. Yeah, so this could be also the other major issue. It's not even pushing any fluid. Let's remove the brake lever. All right, that's a long bolt that's in there, but it's out. All right, I'm cracking open the master cylinder if I can. I don't know. Wow, that's a tight fit. Jeez. I was trying not to break it, so I did all right. That retaining clip is way down there. I had to readjust my pliers. Hopefully this works. That has to be the worst design I have ever seen. Man, there was a lot of video editing that I just dumped because I could not contain myself. This thing needed like 4 hands. Holy cow. Worst design ever. All right, to remove this piston here, you're gonna need a vise or 4 hands. I had to reinstall this bolt to use as leverage, so that way I can put it in there and push down on the piston. So I can get this little groove right here to line up with that C-clip there and be able to wrap it in there and then pull it out. Man, that is awful. But it's out now, so I'm now gonna go ahead and just clean this up and get whatever junk that's in there out. Here's kind of a, I guess I should have done it earlier before I started cleaning it, but here's a look of what that looks like inside. All right, well, there was definitely some junk in there. I mean, I cleaned it up a little bit better in there. It's hard to show you because, I mean, the passages are so small. So I'm gonna leave that like that for now. And I'm just gonna wipe down the actual piston. I don't wanna put brake clean on there and have that destroy the rubber sleeves that are on there. There's a little bit of junk in the groove, so that maybe that's one of the issues. But I'll wipe it down and then I'll reassemble it. Well, oddly enough, maybe this is wrong. It was wrong, but now it's in. It went in so much easier than trying to take it out. Not even sure what was up with that, but I definitely lost my mind on that one. I'm just gonna put a little bit of brake fluid, and I just want to make sure that it squirts out there. Normally you would put in .4 brake fluid. I have some .3 that's already open, so I'm just going to use that. It's the same thing, it's just that .4 boils at a higher temperature. But I ain't doing no racing. All right, we're actually building pressure now, which is good. Oh, there we go. I wasn't getting anything at all before. I'm actually just going to continue filling it up for now. Get it completely full. Just put the cap on so I can move it around. All right, I'm just gonna also just reassemble everything and get it ready to put on the handlebar. So officially got it reassembled. It's still holding pressure when I actuate it. Got it full of brake fluid, which is wonderful for paint. So now I'm going to go ahead and put it on the handlebars. Perfect. And it doesn't even matter. Not perfect, but just as good. It always helps to press record, especially when you do it twice. Caliper's installed, so that's good. Got the brake line installed back in its semi-original position, so that's good. Now I just got to go ahead and bleed the brakes. All right, clearly have brakes, which is great. Had nothing before, but that's good. That is so good. I can move this thing around now. Now, I do not recommend doing this if you're actually using this bike daily on the road. And do a proper rebuild, get the right seals. I literally just wanted to do this on the $0 scale or a can of brake fluid, and that's it. And that's what I achieved, and I'm happy about that. My only gripe is I think Kawasaki tried to over-engineer something, and it was a pain in the butt to get that piston out of there. Maybe there's an easier way. I don't know. I'm not a professional. I got it. It's working now, and like I said, I'm happy. Now I can put this and its other parts that I took off away under a tarp shed, something like that, just to get it out of the way. I do want to go ahead and rebuild this engine someday because of the leak that I had mentioned already. I don't know, we'll see whenever I get to that. Winter is coming, so you never know. But really, guys, that's it. I'm done. I'm happy. It was a small project that I just needed to get rid of, and that's off the to-do list. So on that note, thanks for watching, and take it easy.